Hello friends, welcome back to the series on Dhalsim the Yoga Master, getting him all the way to Master rank as befits his Yoga Master status. We are up to Platinum. I think the main thing I should say about Platinum is your opponents will start to get a bit more decent here, so they will finish their combos, they will have a way of getting max damage out of a lot of interactions, and they will know the cheap stuff of their character. Platinum is where, as a Dhalsim player, you have to start being a little bit more reactive. You can't just play your silly game of limbs and fireball traps. You need to start using the float a lot more and seeing what your opponent is doing, and you generally need to be observing their strategy against you and adapting appropriately. That's the essence of high-level Dhalsim as well, is kind of knowing what your opponent is doing, and Dhalsim definitely has a tool to handle it. You just need to activate that tool at the right time. So for example, if you see that Terries are constantly burn knuckling at you, you just need to float slightly above the burn knuckle. If you notice that Bisons are constantly anti-airing you with crouch heavy punch, then you need to teleport and float just above that height, Oh, you can't teleport and float, yeah? So just above that height, you teleport in, and then that way you'll actually beat their anti-air. You just got to muck up their timings. All right, what we want to talk about in this video, or what I want to talk about, is corner pressure, max damage combos, stun combos, and burnout pressure. So what to do when you're already in a really good situation with Dhalsim, because now we will start to get into those kind of situations. And that's because you are going to start to play a lot more aggressive. So up until this point, we've played a very defensive Dhalsim. It's kind of moving backwards and using the trap. And every now and then you move forward by, say, throwing an arch and sliding behind it, or throwing a light fireball, drilling behind it and walking, something like that. Just throwing a light fireball and teleporting. But generally you're only doing that to get space for yourself to be able to move backwards again and do your defensive zoning stuff. But now in Platinum, you want to start being more aggressive. So we've spoken about this sort of thing. You want to start doing that a lot more. Drive rushing into that combo, and also drive rushing into jab back medium punch, because jab is +8. So you can go into that, and you can also go into back medium punch blast, because back medium punch forces your opponent to stand, so that means blast will hit. So you can also do this one. Right, that is quite a tasty combo, and you should be doing that a lot more, especially in this kind of close range stuff. So instead of just using medium punch, you should also occasionally be drive rushing in and getting your blasts off. Right, that's quite nice. And if you start to be aggressive in this manner, especially if you combine it with splashes and then following up the splash with drive rush slide, you can actually start to cover a lot of ground with Dhalsim and start to push players back into the corner, especially if your opponents, like most players in Platinum, are just autopilot back rising. So they're giving you a lot of space, and then you will find yourself in the corner with Dhalsim. So let's talk about Dhalsim's corner pressure. The first part of Dhalsim's corner pressure is to start using this throw, because it leaves you right in front of your opponent. And you will also notice that if you use this throw and then do light slide, you will be plus afterwards. Let's go to her wake up reversal and turn it off for a second. Immediate slide, I'm +5. Right. So if she tries to jab me here and I'm throwing, I will definitely beat her jab. And when a lot of people see you do that slide, they will think that you've done an input error or something, and they can beat you with jab. And generally in Platinum, a lot of people wake up jabbing because a lot of people have poor meaty timing. I am someone with poor meaty timing. But in any case, you should just be able to go slide. Oops. If you're not a muppet like me, and you should get the counter hit on her throw. Right, and you can just be quite quick here. You don't need to. I don't know why I struggle with this so much, because it should be easy as, man. 5 frames. Press your throw during your slide. Right, and just practice that first, so that you can just continuously loop throws. The next thing you want to practice is pressing down back medium kick. So we've never used this button before, but now we're going to start to use it because this move in the corner combos. So down back medium kick cancels into heavy arch, and it is +5 on hit. So you can continue it with this combo if they're standing up. You can also continue it with our favorite little combo, rather my least favorite combo, this one, right? But you can also just throw them again. And the other thing that's tasty about that sequence is that it is plus on block. So if we have Yuri just block all, see, I'm +3. And when we're +3, we can again just throw her. Right, and she's straight back in the schmicks. Alright, so the first thing we want to do there is just get that practice down. So have her on random blocking. Actually, don't have her on random blocking. No, you can have her on random blocking, yeah. Go to the reversal settings, wake up reversal, and just turn crouching light punch on. And what we're trying to do here is alternate between throw, slide, throw, and throw, slide, crouch, medium kick into heavy arch, okay? And we're just trying to never get jabbed out of that. Didn't start well, did I? What's going on? And remember that you can't press down back light kick. You can also manually time this, but I think it is actually easier to do it with the frame kill once you get the hang of the frame kill. I'm just very rusty. Why is that jab working? Now the thing is, the jab, I do need to be very frame perfect with this button because the jab is 4 frames and I'm only +5 and this is an 8 frame button. So I will beat her by 1 frame, but 1 frame is 1/60th of a second. So you need to be very tight with the timing. And this is also quite a hard cancel. Alright, and then I wanted to talk about that next, which is that after you do blast in the corner, you can juggle with down back heavy kick. Right. And after you do down back heavy kick, oops, I've got it on random block. Okay, Yuri, be difficult. We are +40. Now you note that this move is 26 frames, so we can basically do whatever we want after we're +40. Right, we can get a +2 advantage on our yoga flyer, and we can also do that after that situation, right? +0. If you do it immediately, you can get a +2 situation. And then you can again throw them before they are able to jab you. You can also do tick throws. You can go into this motion. Huh. Right, so generally you are alternating between those options. You are either throwing your opponent, yoga firing after you throw them, which leaves you +2, so you can do another throw, or you can do something like that. You can wake up with crouch medium punch into heavy arch, Something like that. And then one more thing that we want to add here is drill for the first time. So the reason why we add drill is because it's very automatically spaced for us in this situation. So if you press light punch, crouching light punch, you are at perfect range to jump backwards and do a medium drill. Right, you will be +4. Right, sorry, you'll be +2 on block, and you will be more on hit. Let's have a look at what you are on hit. So we'll put it on random here to make it realistic, and I'll just try to let my muscle memory take over. Right, +2 on block, so we can continue the pressure, and we can also just throw. So even if she blocks you, you can throw, and you will beat the throw. And we're +7 on hit. So if you get the hit, you can go into that combo, but you have to be really quick about it. But you can do, oops, I pressed the wrong yoga slide there. Ah! Ah! This is where Dhalsim's execution levels become problematic. Slap! Don't do that, you have to get the blast off. Now obviously you want to convert this into something better. You shouldn't be drilling unless you don't hit them. You can also, once you've got them scared, you can do the tech throws. All right, now one thing that you need to practice. So once you've got your timing for all of these things, so that they're always waking up jab and you're just always beating them with one of these buttons, is that you then need to go into reversal settings and add in a few extra things. So maybe even turn off crouching light punch for a second and put it on either blocking or vertical jumping. So if you're throwing someone a lot, in the low grades, people will always try to jump to beat the throw. It's a bad way to beat throw. You should backdash instead, right? You will never see the pros neutral jump, especially in the corner, because of what I'm about to show you. Right? You can always beat that jump with your anti-air. In this case, Dhalsim can even get this one off, right? So he gets a really nice situation there. He's +12. And most of the characters will just dragon punch in this situation, right? So it's not a good way to beat it, but a lot of people will be trying to beat you with this. So now you need to practice throwing, and when you see them jump, you're going to do the anti-air. Now, because sometimes she's going to block, sometimes you will get your throw off. Slap. See? That time I got it off. That was weird. It's like she backdashed. Slap. Alright, once you've got that down, then you can add back in the crouching light punch and continue with your corner pressure drill, where you just practice cycling through those different options and reacting to what your opponent does. Once you've got that, then you also want to practice against the delay tech. And there are a couple of things that we want to talk about here. So the first one is, if you try to throw Yuri and she delay techs you, then at this range, after the throw escape from the corner, you are in perfect range to do a medium slide. Right? So I'm on block +1, right, which is hectic. Let's put her on throw escape active for a second. And let's put her on blocking after the first hit only. So if I hit her there, I'm +8. So you can get the flame off. You can't get a blast off there, I believe. You're too far. Yeah, but you can get the flame off. and that will get you back into the same situation you were in before. So it's quite a tasty option. Why is that timing so tight? Right, so you have time to dash up after that medium yoga flame because they're in the corner. So that's the first thing that we need to know, is that if she does throw escape, you are able to take care of it. Sorry, let me explain what a delay tech is because I haven't introduced it yet, but we will be talking about it later in the video. So a delay tech is where when you wake up, you block for a brief period and then you press throw as though you were doing a tech. So here you can see that there's a delay of 8 frames. So what this does is it covers both strikes and throws. So if you wake up trying to do this one to her, she'll block it. And if you wake up doing this one to her, she'll tech it, right? She techs me there. And she blocks me there, right? So she's covering all my options. The options that she's not covering is the shimmy. Bonk. So I wait for her to do the throw, and then I can punish her bigly in this fashion. Now Dhalsim has another punish that's actually kind of more commonly done against the shimmy, which is this one. Oh god, I'm so bad at it. Right, so if you jump float just as she's waking up, then you will beat the shimmy because you can't grab someone who's in the air. But you need to do it at a very tight timing. And I think generally it's actually easier if you suspect that your opponent is delay teching to just do an old-fashioned shimmy. The other reason why the old-fashioned shimmy is good, even though Dhalsim's walk speed sucks balls, is because it will block OD Tesserin, which the jump will not, right? So if you jump, you'll get the punish on the delay tech, but you will not get the punish. Why isn't she OD Tesserining? Well, there's random dice, man. They are a funny bunch. Oof, it actually does beat Yuri because she goes underneath you. That's incredible. Good to know. But in any case, usually I think it's going to be easier for you, much less execution intensive, to just do that shimmy. And then you will also sometimes get the really big punish on the uppercuts. And we know that players at this level love to hit us with the uppercut. Let's keep practicing this for a little bit. Boom. We'll be practicing that combo in a bit too. So once you've practiced just doing the basic shimmy, just walk back, punishing the throw, you can also do, I should say, just walk back, walk forward throw, and that will beat people who wake up blocking. Once you've got that down with the OD Tesserin and the delay tech, you also want to add back in vertical jump, block, and crouching light punch, and now just practice all your different wake up options. So sometimes you're going to hit her with this one, hit her with the yoga flame. She can bust out like that, right? Slide. Yep. That's where the slide Oki is very useful, is when you're further away, because you'll still get that 8 frame wake up, but it will get you back in from over here. So if you're this far back with Dhalsim, you can't threaten a lot of these kind of moves. So after you throw, if you do the slide, then you can start to do those moves. Watch me shimmy. All right, now here I might want to get back in somehow. Slide. See there, I wasn't fast enough with the anti-air, so that would have gotten me into trouble. Now I want to drive rush back in. See, that's a good opportunity to do this drive rush. Medium slide. Too slow with my throw. So that will happen, but I think hopefully you get the idea, and you just need to spend like hours and hours practicing this drill so that when they jump on you, you can hit them with these ones so that you can rotate through these different wake up options. Once you've got all that down, you can also work on what to do when you've got her in Burnout. So let's go to parameter settings, turn this to 0, and then immediately save, right? So now we've got a situation where when we reload, she's going to be in Burnout, and we can hit her for the stun. Okay, she's in Burnout here. Now, actually what I want, we want to put her on block all for a bit, and we're just gonna, we've got to take off in parameter settings, drive gauge 2 refill. We're going to put it on standard, and now we're going to save, and we're going to go back to dummy settings, put her on block after, well, we can have her on block all for a bit, and parameter settings, we'll leave that the way it is. All right, now one thing to notice here, this button is -3 still, but if you do Yoga Arch is 6 + 6. This is an 8 frame button. Yoga Arch moves you forward slightly, so you can actually just continuously Yoga Arch. And once you've got them scared of that, boom. They never know when you're going to go into that option, right? So it's pretty scary for your opponent, and you can also just do a shimmy if you think that they're like pumping a level 3 super in there somewhere. You can interrupt your sequence to throw them at any point. You get decent chip damage out of this as well. Right, gets a little bit of chip damage. Boom, get them with the stun. All right, so this is a very powerful tool for Dhalsim. It allows you to get a lot of pressure in the mid screen. If you do it, then you can set this kind of thing up. Sorry, set up the splash. But in the mid screen, it doesn't work well because the arch won't connect, because they'll get pushed back too much by this, right? So this is really a corner only thing, which is why you want to be trying to get people to the corner with Dhalsim. All right, I should say that when you get regular wall splats with Dhalsim, your combo is just, and then manually timed. 2,176, nothing to be sniffed at. All right, let's talk now about his stun combos, because this is juicy for Dhalsim. All right, again, we have to put this on this situation. Oops. Let's just recover her. All right, put the parameters down to 0 and save. Right, and now you're in a situation where if you hit her with the DI, you'll get the stun, and you can practice the stun combo. Now, Dhalsim has a suboptimal stun combo that does 3,280 damage, and an optimal stun combo that's much harder that does 3,400 damage. So my advice is only to do the suboptimal one, which looks like this. Right, 2,480 damage. Oh, that doesn't sound right. Something's wrong there. All right, now. That's not it. I'll explain things in a second, but let's just show it first. That's not it either. That only does 1970. There's a pretty big stun scaling. If we do the full combo, which is just to throw a light arch out, float forward, max, hit him with, and then you hit him with this one, right? Then we're gonna get a decent amount. Right, 2,480. Now let me see if I can get the optimal one off. It's quite a tricky combo, so it might take me a little while. But basically the idea is light arch, then we're going to use the sort of basic input float technique. So down and forward and 2 kicks. and then make sure you keep floating towards her. That's kind of the key thing, is you actually have to keep floating for a little bit, so you're like right on top of her as the yoga arch hits, and then you will go into this combo and you'll be right on top of her. If you hit her before the yoga arch hits, then you'll actually get pushed back slightly. And I also have a weird habit after I float, when I do this, of holding backwards, because I'm anticipating doing this combo. So you actually have to go forward a bit, do this, and then quickly switch your fingers back to holding the down back for this button. So this is one of the Dhalsim combos that really makes your fingers ache, but it's worth practicing potentially. See there how I got pushed back slightly? So that means that I got the timing wrong essentially, and I'm not entirely sure why that happens, but I believe it happens when you press the fists as she's getting hit by the arch, and so the fists push you back and then the arch hits her. Let's keep going. Right, so that's that basic combo. I think that one's quite good, but let's look at the optimal one. Alright, I didn't get it quite right there. Okay, and then I'm at the end there, I'm meant to do blast sweep. Alright, let's try it. There, I got pushed back too much. Now that's the one I like. That is a reset combo. So after you do this medium kick, it will hit, and then you can go into DI and just start the sequence off again. I mean, not a stun combo, but you can reset and do an extra 1,000 damage or so. But if you don't do that, I meant to blast there. Nearly had it that time. I didn't get the last hit. But you can see there that that was 2,420. The other combo does 2,480. And you're already at mad scaling by the time you get to that last sweep. So that last sweep will give you really nice frame advantage, but it won't actually give you much more damage. And it will give you more meter build with Dhalsim. So that's worth it. So it is something that's worth practicing if you want to be a Dhalsim god. But if you're just like trying to have a fun time and get Dhalsim to master, I would stick with the simple combo, which is just this one. Right, and then get him with the sweep at the end. And then you'll get almost as much damage. The one that I would suggest though is if you do have the other combo on lock, I think it's actually better in the lower grades to do the filthy combo, the one with the drive impact. This one, right? The drive impact reset, because that one really does quite a lot of damage. All right, so that's your stun combo. What I really want to advise you to practice though is the stun combo using level 2 super, which looks like this. Oops. Why do I always stuff this shit up? Oh, 5,147. It actually does more damage than that, but let's look at it piece by piece. So after you stun her, you want to just hold forward for a second. Once you see your Dhalsim recover, then you dash back and do level 2 super with heavy kick. So depending on which button you press, Dhalsim will be at a slightly different angle with the big fireball over his head. And so the light fireball and the medium will actually not hit. The heavy will, but it hits when Yuri crumples and she falls into the fireball. And that allows us to get the full 4,000 damage from charging up the level 2, which is an insane amount of damage for 2 super bars. And then we can, for a single drive gauge, get a raw drive parry rush into her, do back heavy blast, and then you can either just do another sweep, you can do another back heavy blast, you can do, drive rush, back heavy, drive rush, back heavy if you want to dump all your bar. But generally speaking, I don't think that's worth it. You just drive rush, back heavy, blast, sweep, or drive rush, back heavy, blast, level 1. All right, so let's have one more look at that. Just a cool 5,147 damage for 3 bars and only a single gauge. Quite tidy. And I think generally just doing it with the blast and the sweep is a really nice use of gauge. Let's have a look at that. Oh, I dropped it. Oops. In any case, you get the extra sweep, it'll do about 4,500 damage for 2 bar, and it's basically impossible to stuff up the first 4,300. So you just walk for a tiny bit, dash back, level 2 super, drive rush, back heavy punch into blast. Sets you up really nicely then for follow-up Oki as well with all the stuff that we've been talking about. All right, I think that's one of Dhalsim's most important combos. Actually, you will often have 2 bar when you stun your opponent in the corner, and it's a great way to use that bar. All right, let's talk a little bit about Dhalsim's max damage combo. You can, let's put Yuri on dummy settings, block after first hit. The combo that I've practiced for the most part is just this one. Bonk. Super easy to do. Dump all your meter. 5,000 damage. Right. If you just do not Yoga Flame. That's 2,596 damage, and you get Oki afterwards. And if you do the full drive jump, then you do 3,170, which is quite effective. Unfortunately, you can't go into level 1 or level 2 afterwards, but if you want to do that, instead of doing the second drive rush cancel, just go into OD Flames. Level 3, oh, does work. You got to let them fall a little bit if you want to do level 3. If you want to do level 1, should be pretty familiar with that one by now. It's because it's our bread and butter combo. And level 2, you have to cancel the OD Flame. Sorry. Right. So I don't wait for the OD Flame to finish. But I don't generally advise doing that one unless it's going to kill, because it's pretty heavily scaled, so you don't get as much value out of your level 2 super. You're better off just doing your level 1 super, because you'll have other opportunities to do that. So I definitely think that max damage combo is worth practicing. It usually starts off the heavy punch, because you can cancel heavy punch, drive rush into heavy punch itself. But you don't get a lot of opportunities to do that in matches, except when your opponent blocks this one, and then you get to whiff punish them if they're antsy, or off things like uppercut punishes. But it definitely comes up, and it's worth practicing. And one that I want to talk about specifically is no, what am I doing? On block reversal, drive impact, The drive impact punish that we have been working on is the following, right? Oh, sorry, I need to change the parameter settings. It's this one. Dash up, Yoga Blast. But if you want max damage, then that's not the punish you want. You just want to straight away go into heavy punch and drive rush cancel. Right? If she's, if you're using a uppercut punish, let's look at that, OD Tesserin. Then we would do same sort of story. Right? But those are the two main situations you're going to get this scenario. As you get better and in higher diamonds, you will really want to be doing just actual whiff punishes with this move. So we will start to practice whiff punishing with this, whiff punishing with this. And the other situation where this will come up a bit is if you are defending yourself against drive rushes with this, which we will also talk about in diamond. Okay, so quick recap of what we've covered so far. Let me just turn these off. Why does that keep taking me all the way back? All right, so we've talked about corner pressure, throw, slide to get into position. Will be at least +2, even if our timing's bad, so we can just throw, slide, throw. And then we use this one as well to set up more throws. We can use heavy yoga flame, +2, sets up more throws. And that's why we want to make sure that we're ready to anti-air if they jump against the throw. We've also talked about using the drill a bit in the corner, and we've talked about just the shimmy, right? And of course this option for the shimmy as well. Then we talked about the stun combos with level 2 super and with dash back arch and then floating forward and making sure that we float all the way into the corner. Then we talked about max damage drive rush cancel combos, and that's it for offense this video. Now we want to talk about defending a bit. So I've already mentioned the delay tech. Let's talk about that in a little bit more detail. We're going to go to the opposite corner of the screen and we're going to put ourselves on defense. All right, so we're here. All right, now what I want you to practice is a recording where you have Yuri doing throw, dash, throw. And then, actually, how do we do this? Throw, dash, throw, or just throw, sorry. You have Yuri doing throw, dash, just mash, dash, okay? And then have one, and make sure that as soon as you've mashed dash, you press escape so that it ends the recording. Oh, I stuffed that up. Oops. All right, and then have another one where it's throw, dash, medium punch, okay? That's all we need. Oh no, sorry, I've got it right. All right, sorry. Okay, have one recording where she does throw, dash, throw. And another one where she does throw, dash, medium punch. Okay? And now we want a situation, now we want to turn both of these on. Oh, for some reason that stuffed up. I pressed it too early that time. Okay, turn both of those on. And all we're gonna do is wake up pressing jab, right? And that's to make sure that her two things are actually correct. So save it when she's standing in front of you, activate those recordings and just wake up jabbing, all right? So we're actually a little bit slow on that one. So the throw is good. And that one's pretty much fine, right? Yeah, so she counter hits us when she's throwing. Yeah, and she's counter hitting us most of the time with that meaty. All right. So this is a situation where our jab cannot win, right? That's because after Yuri does a throw and then dashes up, she's +2. And her medium punch is 4 frames. So unless we are frame perfect with our medium punch, she's going to beat us. I think she can even be, she must be +3 when she dashes up, because you can actually just get outright beaten by that medium punch. Unless it's 5 frames, but I don't think it's 5 frames. Maybe it is. Scary. Anyway, she's beating us here. So what we want to do is have something that beats both her throw option and her strike option, and that's the delay tech that I explained before. So we're going to wake up blocking for about 8 frames. So 1 frame is 1/60th of a second, and after we've finished blocking for those 8 frames, we're going to press throw. Okay, and that should beat both her options if our timing is good. All right. Oh, so I was too early on the throw there. There we go. I was too early again. That time I was fine. So if you know what your opponent tends to hit you with on wake up, then just visually imagine them doing that move. And once the elbow is in my body, I press throw. And that is on time. Oh, I was actually a bit late. It's too slow. Too early. So we got to practice. Too late. Nice. All right, so you just want to practice that for a really long time. Again, with different characters doing different wake up options, and try to get your delay tech timing down. Now, as we showed earlier, the delay tech loses to shimmies. Players in Platinum are very unlikely to know how to shimmy, but they may do this sort of thing. Right? They might neutral jump you to try to beat your shimmy, and that will be really painful and it will mess you up. Later on, you might be capable of doing delay tech and then doing your anti-air like this. But that's really hard too, and generally some characters like Ken and that sort of thing will just beat you no matter what, because their anti-airs have such a sharp downward angle. So the point that I really want to make here is don't get in the bad habit now in Platinum of delay teching constantly, because better players in High Diamond, for example, will realize very, very quickly that you are delay teching as a Dhalsim, and they will start shimmying you constantly. A shimmy from someone like Akuma will hit you for like 3,500 damage without even them spending much drive gauge. Just does. Shimmies are so brutal because they start from a heavy punch. So even Ryu's basic shimmy, where he does heavy punch, heavy Herschel Geki, dragon punch, or with 1 drive rush bar, he can do drive rush, dragon punch. Sorry, drive rush, heavy punch, medium Herschel Geki, dragon punch. That's also going to hit you for about 3,200 damage. So a huge amount of damage. You can take 3 throws before it's worth taking a shimmy. So just generally still be blocking, and if you think your opponent's going to throw you, you can use the mummy drill and we can escape from the corner using this one. Yeah, but the delay tech is quite useful, particularly in the mid screen when people are often drive rush throwing you and drive rush punching you. The delay tech will beat both of those options, and it's very difficult for them to shimmy in that sort of scenario. All right, speaking of people drive rushing at you, that's the next thing we want to cover a little bit. So when I first introduced drive reversal, we were using it to get out of the corner when our opponents were hitting us with heavy buttons like this. But now we're going to practice something a bit different. So we're going to have Yuri do our usual walk back and forward, finish backwards, walk back and forward, finish forwards, go forwards. Right? Those are the 3 movement things that we want from Yuri. And then we're going to have her do crouch, medium punch, drive rush. Right. And then we're going to have her do crouch, medium kick, nothing. All right. And now we're going to turn all those on. I didn't record it for some reason. That's all. Okay. Turn off the original 2. Restart the match. I've got it on the wrong settings. and just have her walking around. And what we're trying to do is block the sweep. That's the first thing. But then we also want to try to drive reversal that. Excuse me. Excuse me. So we only want to do it when you see the green. Oh, I was slow there. See, that's really bad because she can block there, right? So we don't want to do it unless we see the green. Now, most people at this level and in low diamond will just be constantly doing crouch, doing low forward, the crouch medium kick and drive rushing at you. So you can sort of and really expect it and just be looking for it, and then it's much easier to react than in this drill. But this drill will teach us generally to react. Now I'm being a bit slow here, I got to be honest with you. I need to be faster than this, but if I'm anticipating it, then I will be faster with it. Right, that sort of thing. Now this is a really good thing to be doing because it costs you 2 bars and it costs them 3. And it's also really demoralizing because of course you are now back in control, right? And they've got to negotiate the obstacle course. And for a character like Yuri, the obstacle course is very frustrating. All right, so we've got 2 new defensive techniques. We've got the delay tech, which we should not be using often. You just want to use it occasionally when you really need to disrupt your opponent's flow. We've got knocking people away using drive reversal. And then the last thing that I want to talk about is waking up with level 3 super. Level 2 super. All right, so let's for a second turn off our recordings. Go back to the corner. And now we're going to turn on these 2. Turn repeat replay on again. And then we're going to wake up with level 3. Right, so you see it beats her throw because it's invincible at startup. And it will also beat the fist. So there she tried to throw us again. And there she tried to hit us with the fist, and it beat both. Now what if I wake up with level 2? That worked as well. And it beat the fist. Okay? So why wouldn't I just wake up with level 2? Well, the reason is that if we have Yuri coming in and doing a crouching move, this won't work. So let's put that on slot 3. Right, doing crouching light kick. Okay, let's turn these off. Actually, what I need to do is I need to have her do and then keep crouching for a bit. Yeah? Okay. Let's try that on for size. Just went uselessly over her head. And better players will know that about Dhalsim's level 2, and so they will often be pressuring you low. It's also the case that one of the most common block strings among kind of platinum level players is something like crouching light kick, jab, jab, special, right? Something like that from Ken or Ryu or whoever it might be. So people are often coming in with the lows. So level 2 super is something you can only wake up with if you've been observing the match and you've noticed that your opponent likes to pressure with standing buttons. So some Kens, for example, will just constantly pressure with their heavy punch. They'll just be doing heavy punch Jinrai kicks, heavy punch Jinrai kicks. And against those guys, you can often actually just wake up doing drive impact. But maybe by platinum, they're a little bit smarter than that. Lilies will also often wake up pressure you with her crouching heavy punch, and that is something that loses quite badly to this. So this is a totally reasonable wake up option if you've already noticed that your opponent likes to pressure you with those big standing buttons. But if your opponent's a bit smarter, they won't be pressuring you that way. One of the nice things about this is that it does also beat, I believe, the neutral jump. Let's try that. No, she jumped straight out. How did she block that? That's bizarre. Let's try that again. Oops. Yeah, so she just jumps into the fireball, right? So that's quite nice. So the only way for them to beat it is to actually shimmy you, and people never shimmy Dhalsim unless they suspect that he's delay teching a lot, and even then they'll tend to neutral jump on you because that's more straightforward for them to get big damage for most players at this level. All right, that brings us to the end of this video. I know it was a little bit more haphazard than some of my other ones. So we talked about corner pressure, very important for Dhalsim. We talked about his burnout loop, which is this one. So, oh gosh. Yeah, and you see that even mid-screen it works, but it pushes them too far away for you to be able to splash them afterwards. So it's not the most useful thing, but it's fine for getting them away from you. And then we talked about, and I think this is probably the most important thing to take away from this video actually, is his stun combo with level 2. All right, that's really good stuff. We talked about his max damage combo, which is also quite important thing to be recognizing when you can kill your opponent using that combo and then using that combo. You really don't want to burn out with Dhalsim because it takes him ages to recover his bar because he does very little blocking and he does very little hitting of the opponent. So you're often just like wandering around pressing fireballs and you'll just find yourself in burnout for ages, which is not somewhere Dhalsim wants to be, because then you can't do OD comets to get yourself out of trouble. So don't burn yourself out. But if you can kill your opponent with a few extra bits of damage using this combo, right, then please do so. Try to recognize those kind of situations. Then we moved on to defense. We talked about the delay tech, holding block for about 8 frames and then pressing throw, and that will beat both wake up, strike and throw options. We talked about waking up with level 3 and level 2 super, and we talked about knocking people away using drive reversal when they try to drive rush cancel their low forwards on you. These kind of things will absolutely carry you through all of Platinum. I think they will even carry you up to like Diamond 4-5. I will talk about what you need in Diamond 4-5, namely the drill, in the next video. See you then.